Welcome to the Echo Sportscast number 15.
I'm Paul McLean.
And I'm Dave Dale. This is a little bit of a shorter version because it's the holidays and there's not a whole lot going on except for the World Juniors.
Yeah.
Right? And
In Ottawa.
So everybody's busy. So what we did was we interviewed Dan Selin, Dan Selin Hockey, excellent skills coach.
Yeah.
Has different sort of viewpoint than many other coaches as far as how important it is to learn the edging and the stick handling and the body movement with your head up for safety and ability.
Absolutely. Like Dan is somebody, probably one of the earliest skills trainers. This is now a really common thing in hockey. You practice with your team. That's where you learn, the team focus, the systems that you're going to run. But there's still that need for kids to focus on their individual skills and what they're going to do. And Dan's got a great program, long history. There's some great athletes that have gone through, and he touches on that. And really a critical part of hockey and really I think all sports training now is that individual skills that people are working on. So we have a great chance to chat with Dan, and we will have him in for more chats because he's just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to, and it's been around the game in North Bay and has a lot of history and a lot of stuff to share.
And after you listen to the interview with Dan Selin, Paul and I are going to talk about a few things that Dan doesn't say because he's trying to work that stuff in. But before we get to the interview, we'd like to hear from our title sponsor, Twiggs Coffee Roasters.
North Bay Echo is proud to partner with Twiggs Coffee Roasters, a part of the community since 1995. Twiggs offers a wide selection of quality beans, fresh roasted in-house every day. Find your favorite specialty drinks at our espresso bar. Rejuvenate with freshly squeezed juice or treat yourself to mouth-watering selections from our gourmet deli. And don't forget our irresistible fresh baked goods, including uncompromising gluten-free options. Twiggs has 5 locations to serve you from North Bay to Sturgeon Falls to Sudbury. Order online for pickup at twigs.ca. And coming soon, you'll be able to order fresh roasted coffee beans direct to your doorstep from our distribution center in North Bay.
Today our guest is Dan Selin from Dan Selin Hockey, and we've talked many times about the benefits of learning the proper way to be a hockey player so you're safer, but heads up. Tell me more about it right now. What is the most important thing that people should know about what you do when you train hockey players?
Well, we focus on vision skills, stick skills, which breaks down into stick handling, passing, and shooting. Mm-hmm. And then we do skating skills, which breaks down into 9 major skating patterns. Mm-hmm. An example would be C-cuts. There's 22 different C-cuts. And then from there, we focus on 12 edges. So there's an aspect of the training program I call hockey figure skating, because edges were best taught by figure skaters. So there's an element of bringing that sport into hockey.
Your name came up when we were interviewing Mallory Domenico. She's one of your students and very successful. Her sister Maria as well. Tell us a few more of the players that people will recognize that have gone through your school and are still, who benefited from it.
Yeah, there's Maria, Mallory, Domenico, and Madison, who's going to be playing for Team Canada at the University Championships in Italy. Yeah. There's Mabel Hagen, who's at St. Lawrence now, and all of these players trained a minimum of 6 years, 100 to 140 hours a year in the curriculum. And then as far as the other gender, there's Mark Sanical, who's now a doctor in town. He went on a scholarship to Brown. And then there's Brett Hargrave, Danny DeRozier, Ben Garrigan, Jake Gravel, Brady Lyle, and I'm hoping I haven't forgotten any.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, yeah, there's been
pretty good all-star team.
Yeah, it kind of gives credibility to the curriculum, right? And that's what we're trying to move forward on.
I think you also bring a fun element to the game, which sometimes gets lost in a practice with systems. and things that coaches inevitably have to teach. And the skill, as much as that vision and the heads up and being aware of your surroundings, I think it's that love of the game, of that learning to do something that's hard and being able to accomplish it, and then having the confidence. And that's something that I can attest to in all those players that you named, but my children as well. And they're getting up and they want to go to hockey, whether it's because you have to pick up the hours, right? The 7 a.m.s, the 4 p.m.s, the kind of tough ones, the ones that parents make all those sacrifices for to get to. And that can be a hard draw with the kids for the parents, when you're having to shake the kid and wake them up and say, like, come on, it's time to go. But like when they're standing and they're shaking you going, Dad, get ready. It's time. We got to go to Dan. That's why I'm happy to talk to you and hear the story and spread it to more people. But that, I think, the fun to the game that gets lost when we as coaches have to teach a system or do something.
Yeah, I mean, and fun for me has many definitions. There's the fun of winning. There's the fun of traveling, the fun of staying in hotels, the fun of being with your teammates, which is probably, for me, it's the second most fun. Yeah. Nothing against the parents. Yeah. But they like to be with their friends. But the most fun is skill development. Yeah. Is that they look at Connor Bedard or McDavid or any of those talented players, the Kucherovs, and they see something. Yeah. And this is where hockey has to move. We can't say, no, we're not teaching you that. Mm-hmm. You should put them on a path that's age appropriate, skill level appropriate, with a curriculum, then an execution analysis and a correction process, and let the child know that maybe tomorrow at the session, we're going to learn one of the 9 toe drags, and we're going to do a double head fake, toe drag, backhand, top corner, just like Crosby does. Yeah. So throw in those big names, they're doing it. And I have players that bring videos of, could be Kucherov scoring. So we break down the skates, the stick, the head position, and we do it. And that's what kids want. So I'm coming at it from after 53 years. I try to give kids what they want. Yep. And so it's a winning formula. It's winning for me because I've got to stay in shape. Yeah. But the kids, they get what they want.
Yeah, and I think too, the real testament would be all of those names that you named being, kids that started out at a young age learning those skills, and then now those kids are teaching the skills, and the mixed ages on the ice, the mixed genders on the ice, and watching kids teach each other and support each other. It's a pretty amazing thing to watch. So I haven't asked a single question yet. It was kind of a weird interview on my part, but you have to be one of the first guys doing this in town, no?
It's taken me a lot of years to put the program together, right? Mm-hmm. And there's been an awful lot of mistakes, but I've been very keen on what the latest skill sets are. Yeah. And so then I tried to duplicate them. I tried to teach them. And then players, for example, Danny DeRoche came to me one year when he was with Sudbury and said, I saw this new move. Yeah. And it was a crazy move. I said, okay, we got to stop all. We're doing this right now. Yeah. So the kids were able to come to me and they knew that we were going to practice certain skills. Same with Maria Domenico. Yeah. She's got some highlight reels that are just like, guys are just like, what is she doing? I go, I don't know, but she's doing a toe drag into a spin, puck over her shoulder, pick it up, and then go score on the goalie. Like it happened. But so if you give the kids the freedom and the practice to learn how to pick up the puck, learn how to do different skills with the stick and head positions and all that, then they start to train themselves. And that's the other big aspect. If you can empower the children. And I think one of the key elements is that if you have a curriculum and you empower the parents, because for me, as I published in my book, parents are 80% of a child's development. That's educational, that's spiritual, that's everything. Yeah. And some people, anyways, that's just the way it is. So if we can work with the parents and help the parents, and I do that by helping parents, I give them stick handling patterns to do at home. There's no cost to it. Yeah. And then I expect them to work with their children if they want, and then they'll come and show me some videos. So somebody from Field the other day showed me some videos of their 7-year-old doing stick handling with their head up and doing all these different moves, and so it kind of warms the heart. But if we can include the family, because they pay, and then we give the kids what they want, then I think you have a better chance of increasing registration and sustaining kids in hockey.
Well, and I know, again, as a parent, and I won't pretend like this was knowledge that was ingrained in me. I had to learn it, and I made mistakes along the way. But, you can sometimes sit there and go, why are my kids not out shooting pucks or practicing or training, or why aren't they playing with the other kids in the neighborhood, and they just want to be on their phones. And that's not always the case. Sometimes as parents, we're stuck caught on our phones. And if we just said to the kid, hey, do you want to go and shoot some pucks? Or hey, do you want to play catch? Like, they want it. They act like they want to be a part of it, even though that's maybe we're not seeing as many road hockey games or things like that. But if you can get those kids engaged, and so what you're saying, you're giving them more for those parents to better relate to their kids and understand what they're trying to do. Because when you try to do it as an adult, it's not as simple as it looks.
Well, I know you're involved in baseball, so you have your teaching skills in baseball. In hockey, what I try to do is I'll talk about the pond, playing on the pond, the outdoor rinks, and guys, go try this move.
Yeah.
And you know what? Your best friend, like, deke him out badly, embarrass them. That's your job. And so you give them, so now they go there with a strategy, a plan, an execution of something, and they'll work on it.
Yeah.
Like, they'll spend time on doing that.
Well, I still remember you put together sort of a thing for coaches, because as much as the parents, new coaches to the game too, there's a lot to try to digest and understand and implement. And you're recalling the stuff that maybe I learned as a kid coaching or being coached. And it's not always, there's a big gap between when I was there and you've been in it the whole time. So, what you're able to help coaches learn and better relate to the kids and not have to make some of the same mistakes so they get caught up. But I know you had the coaches out and you had some of the players just to demonstrate, kind of show off what you were doing with the program and what it meant. And you asked me to come play net, which was a lot of fun. So I was on the ice with Brady, probably around Bantam-ish, early midget, and Maria were out. And the two of them were going head to head and coming in on breakaways on me, making me look completely foolish. But what I loved was they knew they were going to make me look foolish, and they were breaking down, and I could catch this from the far end. So from the far blue line in, Brady had this smile that was like ear to ear. I could see through the cage, and I think I ended up in the corner and he buried it. And then Maria comes down and it's like, same thing. Like, I'm going to do better than what he just did. So I think that again, that competition and the fun part of the game, I think, is just so cool to see. So.
Yeah, it really promotes development, right? And I think it was Craig DeBerge last year when I was watching Battalion game, he had mentioned that kids at 6 years of age figured out the game.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that's what he said. Greg, if I'm wrong, I apologize. But that being said, is that when I did the study with my book, I did a study. Kids at 8 years old know where to go. And this is where the jam up starts, because we think they don't know where to go. But we mix that up with they know where to go, but they can't get there. So then it's your job to realize that or seek help with the crew that we just talked about.
Yep.
Danny and Brett are running their own hockey schools. Maria's off to Moosonee Christmas break to do some hockey school in Moosonee. To ask these kids out and ask them what the basics are. And so we bring the community in. And we're going to be starting a project here in the near future, but I'm hoping that the community of coaches and associations are going to reach out to these kids, because they've all had success and they all know the curriculum. And then with their experiences, they can add to it. And then that's how you grow, right? So you start with a good foundation. But then, as I pointed out earlier with Danny DeRoche, he comes in with this new sick move. And then we try it. Or Chase Lefebvre comes in and sees Kucherov does something. So we look at it, break it down, and then we do it. But I think that's where we can make hockey more fun for kids if we're open to that.
Yeah.
And you bring out these players that can actually skate, dangle, and have played.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So having a guy like Brody Beard, I believe he was captain of 67th, if I'm correct. So we have him in town. There's another voice, and he's got two young girls playing hockey. And so we need to start sharing information with one another. But it's got to be related. It's got to be related to skill and not just systems, because the most sought-after players are skilled hockey players. So what does that mean? That's vision, hands, and skates. That's what it means. And they have some tricks to do with the puck if they need. The game's still pretty basic, that your first option, the golden rule, is that you have to move the puck. You have to pass it. That's just the golden rule. But when you have nobody to pass to, this is where it breaks down, is you're 5 feet away from an opponent. And so what toe drag, what head fake, what anchor, whatever are you using? And if you were to ask Marie or some of these players, when they get within a 5-foot range, whether they're coming at a player's coming at them. They don't even know what they're going to do. But they have trained so much that it's in the brain, and they just do it. Because the eyes see the whole player, they see the stick, they see everything, and they just do the move that's in the brain. And if we can get to understanding that, which is one-on-one battles, they're so important in the game of hockey because they're all over the ice, 1-on-1, 1-on-2, 1-on-3 battles. And then the option again after the battle, if you have that skill in your brain, is you got to go back to the first option. The golden rule is pass the puck. But here's my problem. So they have, especially on toe drags, they do head down on toe drags going into a battle. Or they make a move on, I call it a 2-to-1, it's 2 hands to 1 hand, and then go around, but they got their head down.
Yeah.
Then you get the complaints from guys that have played at fairly high levels, a lot of the guys we just mentioned, and their problem is that they're open, but the player has their head down just long enough that they close the gap on the opponent, and it's too late to give it to him, but we still give it to him.
Yeah.
So then we risk the chance of injury. So that head up allows you to use your read and react skills, time and communication skills, your anticipatory skills. So if you can make that move going around the player with your head up and then see the person. So if I go in a backhand and I need to do a backhand saucer pass to go to the other player's blade, well, then I've trained that. And it's been in the curriculum. Not that we don't have time, because the game is not complicated. It's just skill.
Yeah.
So we need a starting point and a happy point for players that are learning to play hockey,
Well, we're just going to take a quick break here to talk about Toyota trucks, one of our sponsors. It's time to Toyota at North Bay Toyota. Well, they got a lot of amazing deals on the 2025 Tundra Double Cab SR 4-wheel drive, an experience in genius levels of capability, technology, and refinement. Thinking I want to take one for a test drive in a snowstorm, see how it handles.
And we know for all of our sports families listening too, there's going to be lots of room in the truck to carry your equipment to and from the rink or the field or wherever you're going.
Well, maybe you're an SUV driver and you need something like that, right?
Absolutely. And
take advantage of a limited shipment of 2025 RAV4s and discover the perfect blend of style, comfort, and efficiency in a compact SUV that ignites your desire to explore.
Great writing there.
That's pretty good. It's time to Toyota at North Bay Toyota, 640 McEwen, or online at northbaytoyota.com for details.
Sports aren't just what we do, they're who we are. Source for Sports North Bay is your advocate, your local support system, and your biggest fan. 1321 Fisher Street has grown from a place where knowledgeable experts can help you find exactly the gear you need. To the hotbed of team uniforms, apparel and fanwear, to a community stronghold for all the things that truly matter to you and your family's sports journey. We love helping you find your first pair of skates, as much as we relish supporting local leagues, teams, and athletes. Wherever your sports journey takes you, make sure you visit Source for Sports North Bay at 1321 Fisher Street so we can help you along your way.
I think, and I can relate, like specifically with my daughter Brooklyn wanting to do things right and not make mistakes. And your program, when they're out there, she's being told by the girls she looks up to. And if Madison Demeray is sitting there telling her and pushing her harder so that she makes that mistake, you're driving all these kids to push the limits so that when the game will slow down for them when they're in the game, as opposed to you made all these mistakes in practices and that's where it learns from. But if the kids are afraid to make that mistake, you're never going to get to that level. And that's such an important part of it too. And I think that's where having those different voices, the correction on the ice, it's not, you've said it multiple times, it's not Dan Selin telling you to do this. This is, this is proven. We've got the kids doing it. This is, we've got lots of it. And that experience is what's feeding the next generation that comes in.
Yeah, the correction, in order to get to the correction process, you actually have to promote to failure. And you've got to let them know the failure's good.
Yeah.
They're just young, fresh minds in most cases. And that could be an 18-year-old. I mean, you can be dealing with a 5-year-old. But you've got to encourage that on the ice to fail. So if we're building fast hands, I expect you to lose the puck Like, sure, your success is at whatever speed in your hands from a left to right movement, but I got to get you faster. I need 0.1 miles an hour quicker, or kilometers, I guess it would be today, quicker. So you got to go to failure. It's the same with skating. You know, the Russians used to train their players on circles on crossovers, and in order to get more of a lean, so that way the crossover happens quicker. And they would make you go and go, but they expected you to fall. And then after, when they were satisfied and they thought they had done that drill enough, the player actually had a better lean, and he was executing faster. But that player had to go through failure. And so today, that's a big thing. It's a big thing to encourage kids that failure is normal. Yeah, you're going to fail. You know what I mean?
Well, as parents, we don't always want our kids to fail. So that sometimes is a hard thing to get over.
No.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about that program and Brody Beard and what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, we'll have another rendezvous with you and Paul, and we'll share what we're going to do.
Bring Brody in. That'd be good.
Yeah. I think he's going to be. I think he's an intricate part of the future of hockey North Bay with all those other players that we talked about. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. But
I have another question for you, because when after I first met you, and we talked about this 15 years ago, 10 years ago, I can't remember. You're running sledge hockey, and I was wondering whether or not the team's still playing, and what's going on with the sledge hockey.
Yeah, we started in 2001, so we played 22 years. We played in a league. We went to 3 main tournaments, Ottawa, London, and Mississauga every year. So last year was our 22nd year. This year we don't have enough players, so we're still practicing, just keeping it going, and if there's some type of miracle, then we'll re-energize. But yeah, we had 22 years. We had great corporate sponsors. We did a lot of traveling, met a lot of cool kids, a lot of kids that have hardships, and don't complain. So it was a major learning experience for myself. So yeah, we've had 22 great years.
I met one of the players just this summer. I was covering the Tour de Trout, and he was kayaking as a scout. I wish I could remember his name.
Jordan Mino?
Yeah.
One of the fastest players in Canada. If he was a little bigger, he would have made Team Canada. But he had sick skates, sick hands, and he could score.
He was a flash.
He won a lot of games for us, an awful lot of games.
I'm going to try to dig up some video I have of him.
Did you ever try going on a sled?
No, I've never tried it. Yeah,
it is.
I can imagine.
Incredible. Just the adjusting the balance, and then for people that don't know, so on the bottom of the sled, there are 2 blades, and they're adjustable. So for the beginner going out, you're going to have it spaced wider, and it's going to provide better balance as you're up. And you've got to use your upper body, and you've got the broken sticks with the spikes that give you the traction, and your feet are in front. And as you become stronger and stronger at it, those blades get closer and closer till they basically join into one. And Jordan was on one blade, and incredible how fast. But yeah, when you're out there just trying to move around and get everything going, like, it's such an incredible skill.
I'd like to try it, because I probably would qualify.
You definitely would. But you better get a good chiropractor. That's all I could say.
Yeah,
when we played
I know. I saw those guys. It's a good rough hockey.
We played the men's university team here in North Bay, and I wasn't sure as to how this would all unfold, but we beat them up badly. They just couldn't manage. They were flopping from side to side. They couldn't handle the puck because you play with 2 sticks, right? Yeah. So
wasn't Brody a Laker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't with his group. It was years before that. Just when we just started.
Right.
So it was around the time we had the NHL Players Association paid for all our equipment. So back in the day, there was a sports store in North Bay on Seymour. We locked the doors. We all came in, players and parents, and they got all brand new equipment. And it was probably a year shortly after our initial year that we had that exhibition game. But even at that time, we won.
All right. I know you're on a schedule for today, so we're going to wrap it up, but I want to make sure that we cover off some of the things that you wanted to say in this segment.
I just think hockey has to move into more of a science arena. hockey science, and that could be from a skating point of view. So you can get into Newton's third law, you can get into 12 edges. As far as we should be focusing on the stick skills would be passing, shooting. So there's 9 passing, 9 shooting. There's 37 basic stick skills. So total, let's say 55, and then you have 5 head positions. And this is why I wrote the book. Is one of my marketing guy had mentioned that there was a lot of safety concerns in hockey, and we talked about all the issues, and we came up with this head position. So then I added that to the curriculum, and it's taken quite a few years, but it's worked really well. I mean,
is this the book here you're talking about?
Yeah.
Hold it up so the camera can see it. That's your camera right there. And what's your website so people can read more about you?
hockeycpn.com. hockeycpn.com. Yeah, so Maria Domenico and Madison are the 2 noticeable heads-up players that can play with their head, as they would say, on a swivel. But what people don't understand is you can't ask to play heads-up. You have to train it. And so in my program, there's 675 moves, counting all the skates, the head, and the stick skills. There's 670 moves that you should try to achieve in order to be the optimum hockey player, play safer, reduce body injuries, head injuries, and actually your vision skills allow you to move quicker. And this is the other secret that we're trying to market, is that if you play heads-up hockey and you feel the puck, you don't always have to see it in your peripheral, but you feel it, then it's like carrying it in your hand. So we call the blade of the stick the third hand. So when you handle it there, you've got to feel like you're carrying it. Your skills have to be so defined. So yes, seeing it, but feeling it will allow you to attack a one-on-one battle, and you can do a toe drag or a fake shot or whatever, and you'll be able to maintain the puck on your third hand, the blade, with your head up. And so that's the optimum, and that's where the Marias and the Madisons and what have you, as of late, can do that.
What's the best example of a pro that McDavid, that has that type of package and all those type of things down pat? Because he seems like he's the best ever package of hockey player. But who would you say plays heads up better than other ones?
I would have to say definitely McDavid comes to mind. Marner comes to mind. Nylander, because I read an article on Nylander 4 or 5 years ago, and he was working on. He didn't have a curriculum, so to speak, but he was working on it. So I don't know who he was dealing with, but definitely those players. It's quite noticeable at the speeds they move at. You know, Nylander's a great skater, Marner's a great skater, and McDavid's a great skater. So when you put in the skates with the stick skills and the vision skills, you end up looking like those players. And of course, you can't negate genetics. Genetics plays a role in every athlete, whatever the athlete is playing.
Yeah, because if I learned all 675 moves, it doesn't matter.
You'd be a hockey rock star.
yeah. I got 675 moves in me, but they're not on the ice. Yeah. Well, anyways, I know you got to go, but thank you very much for fitting us in today. I appreciate this. You haven't seen any of our sportscasts yet. I got to send you the link.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to be looking at it.
Yeah. I'll send you a couple.
I'll
links.
give you my
feedback.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We're working on our 675
guy
moves
feedback.
there.
Yeah, sure. No, we need feedback. We appreciate it, even from the viewers. Please like, share, and comment. That helps spread these out so we can do more of them. Right. So, really appreciate it. Thanks for coming in, Dan.
Oh, thanks for having me, Dave.
I think Dan's really onto something. I just think that it's hard to change hockey people.
Yes. I'll even expand on that. It's hard to change sports people.
Yeah.
New ideas and new ways of training tend to be met with resistance. I mean, change is hard. That's why we're always trying to deal with change and learn to accept it. But yeah, I'll say one thing. Growing up with or having my kids grow up, I guess, and some of the other parents that are of a similar age and grew up with the same background I had, I maybe had the benefit of having, an older child that had gone through it before their child got to experience it. And one really stuck with me, because it was like, well, we didn't do all this stuff when I was a kid. Like, why are we having to go to these extra skills training sessions on top of practices and that? And my answer is really simple, is like, because your kid's not playing out in the yard. My kid's not playing out in the yard. So a lot of those basic skills that were learned from stick handling with a toothpick stick that's been worn down and trying to get a frozen tennis ball out of the air, those skills are kind of lacking in today's athlete. And so we're having to find new ways to go out and work on that skill. And yeah, could a kid do it at home? Absolutely. They could do all of the stuff that they need, and there's more resources than ever to go online. But I think sometimes we just need the coaching, the atmosphere, the other people to be around, and that's why they're doing it. So my advice to that parent was, by no means should you expect that you have to go do this skill training, but just know that there are a lot of other families that are committed to that. And like I said, it's not like you have to do it, but if you notice in a year or two that, these kids are exceeding and passing your child or whatever, and if that matters, it's not life or death here, but that's one of those differences. And if you're not doing it, you'll be left behind.
Right on top of, right with you on everything you were saying, except I don't think you're going to learn what he's teaching by yourself. You could practice, like he says, what he's teaching, those things, but and you can get really good by just being on the ice till the cows come home. But there's a way in which he teaches, and we talked about that, and the various techniques and the reason behind it is something that you're only going to get from somebody like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do talk about the skill correction and stuff that happens in real time, multiple voices being on the ice too, being able to learn from not only other athletes that are trying together, but also those players that have now gone on to something else, and whether they're in the OHL or playing for Nipissing University women. Not to mention, I know my kid and others, like, they just can't wait to tell Dan what happened this week. He's, what was your weekend like? Where did you go? We played here. I scored. I pulled this move and it worked. And so all of those things, it's all part and parcel of that experience. And
well, I remember Dan telling me, years ago, there were actually coaches that wouldn't allow their players to go to his skills to courses, and that he's been trying to, one of the main driving sort of impacts of what he's teaching is he believes that it reduces concussions, because you're giving players the skills they needed to do with their head up, so they see what's happening, what's around them. And they're not surprised with their head down looking. And I think that was a message that he was really trying to force, like all the way up to Hockey Canada, but they just wouldn't take it as enough proof to act on it for some reason.
Yeah, I've observed it in baseball and basketball as well, where you're like, we're being critical of how it's being coached, and I realize there are many ways to coach things, but not always are they always right or always wrong. But sometimes it feels like we can't get past the person giving the message. And I've learned in being in North Bay, like, hearing about these people, hockey tends to be one of those ones where people get built up, or, this person, I've heard of them. And then so people start passing on what they've heard. I'm like, until you've met the person, until you've hear what they have to offer, watch them interact with the kids, I think we could all learn a lot by just listening a little bit more instead of trying to talk all the time, which is pretty rich coming from me, because like an airbag, just
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, but Dan's been doing it for a long time, and it's the passion is so evident for it. His involvement around the game, it's just it's unbelievable. So it was great to talk to him. I really enjoy. I've got a lot of time for Dan.
Yeah, no, I do too. So I'm great to have that interview, and I'm looking forward to bringing Brody Beard in and expanding on that.
Yeah, and what we didn't get to chat with about in that, but maybe in the future, and that will come up with that, is it's Dan's granddaughter is now, and he's got a grandson that's starting in hockey for beginners. So, he's getting to go through it in a whole nother phase, and that's That's a lot of fun. I'm experiencing that at the store where I've got previous customers whose kids have, aged out of sports and now have, starting their life and they've got kids and now they're getting back in. And these excited grandparents that are like messaging me and they can't wait to come back in the store and be shopping and I know they're going to spoil these grandkids and make sure they've got all the stuff that they need. But it's exciting. And I think that's really, Dan continues to find ways to reinvent himself. Another thing, like the focus on head-up hockey and safety and concussions came from working so much on that skills and having players turn and become almost a bunch of Eric Lindrosses where they were so focused on these moves. And he was talking about it like that stick needs to be like a third hand. You need to be able to feel and sense where the puck is, but still be able to be safe in a sport that's getting faster than ever before. I always get freaked out when, I see a kid in a game where they don't come into the boards to make a safe play. They're just so focused on getting the puck and they're almost skating straight. And, something happens. I grew up with Mike Bossy's Smart Hockey. It was a terribly produced movie with a very good message that we used to play at Hockey Opportunity Camp when it rained. So we'd show these kids and it was, the importance of protecting yourself when going into the boards. I feel like we don't talk about spinal injuries in hockey anymore. Hopefully that means that there aren't the same number that there once were. But, that safe approach of having a plan of how am I going to go in for the puck? How am I going to get out? All of that comes because it happens at a split second. And that's what Dan's talking about, muscle memory and
I'd love to see the stats on how many shoulders are blown out with somebody making a turning back into it and getting crushed like this, because that's going to break the chicken wing.
Yeah. And even, it was just the weirdest thing, but that terrible Mike Bossy movie. Mike Bossy was a good actor in it. And there's this doctor talking about the helmet you'd have to make that was this tall to protect just the impacts and stuff of going into the boards and cushion. But
avoid the hit.
Avoid the It's amazing the speed that game's played at now and how safe that you need to be. And I always worry when I see a kid going in and if they ever tuck, like the rule was, or the advice was like, if you're going in the boards, you're more likely to strain your neck if you go in and go back than if you crush down, and that's where you have a chance of causing damage that could be permanent. So
don't be looking at your skates.
Yeah. Head up.
All right. Well, that was great. It was a really good interview. Appreciate it. So thank you for viewing. We survive on your likes, your shares, and again, please subscribe to the Echo newsletter.
This has been a really fun year if we're doing the retrospect and talking about it. So I can't say thank you enough for getting me in here and creating a bit of an interest in it. And I love the dialogue that we have. And this is a lot of fun. Get to roll in here late, butcher kids' names, and make stuff up on the go.
I'm glad to do it with you because, our long-standing relationship, consider you a friend, and your knowledge of all the network and the people that are in it now is far beyond mine because I'm not really as connected anymore. So I think that combination of my hindsight and being able to go out to the games and get some video clips and your abilities makes for a nice package. So please reward us with liking, sharing, and commenting.
Yeah. And while we're doing all the stick tummy taps and everything, I can't say enough like how much you're going out and trying to track these things down and messaging me about, this game's here and I'm going to say this. So how you keep track of all of it and do it, it's great. And I think we're really onto something. So we're going to keep pushing through in 2025.
Right on. I'm Dave Dale.
I'm Paul McLean.